Have you ever considered something as valuable? And I don't mean like a thing so much as I do an event. Like maybe there's a date that sticks out in your mind. Maybe it's your birthday, or maybe it's a friend's birthday. Maybe it's an anniversary or something else in between. There are events that take place in our lives that are meaningful and important. But we're entering into a season right now where we are preparing for a very special celebration, and that is the celebration of Easter, Resurrection Sunday. This season is kind of known as a time of Lent. It's common in Catholic circles and a lot of Christian circles. And there's a lot of different ideas about what it is, but really Lent finds its roots in church history. It doesn't really belong to a denomination so much as it does to a Christian practice, where we take a few days before Easter, specifically 40, to prepare our hearts, align them with God's, in order to seek His will, align our hearts with His, so that way we can celebrate with ultimate joy when Easter comes. And I think that it would be appropriate for us to go back to the book of Mark and remember a very special event. Go ahead and look at Mark chapter 15. It says right here in verse 37, "And Jesus uttered a loud cry and breathed his last. And the curtain of the temple was torn in two from top to bottom." The apostle recounts what happened at the crucifixion of Jesus Christ, and this was, in fact, a very special, memorable event. It was a terrible day for Jesus, but it was a beautiful day for us, the recipients of his sacrifice. Now, there's something very beautiful that happens right here. As Jesus breathes his last, we look at a corresponding event away from him on the cross, and that is at the temple when the curtain was torn from top to bottom. You see, when the curtain tore from top to bottom, that was a special moment because this was a very strong curtain that sat in the temple that divided the Holy of Holies from the rest of the temple. It was really the ultimate unfiltered presence of God. And the reason why this curtain tore was because when Jesus died, as it says in Hebrews chapter 4, he made it possible for us to come into God's presence boldly. Now think about that for just a moment, because prior to this moment, if someone entered into God's presence, they would be struck dead immediately. When we think of God's presence, we should have ultimate respect, reverence, even fear. But when Jesus died and we think about his death, we should remember that we are restored to a great relationship with him. Look at what it goes on to say in verse 39. "And when the centurion who stood facing him saw that in this way he breathed his last, he said, 'Truly, this man was the Son of God.'" You see, when we look at the cross, it should cause within us the same reaction as the centurion. This was God in human flesh dying on my behalf. I hope for you, as we are entering into this season of preparation for Easter, that you in your heart will look at the cross, be filled with wonder, be filled with awe, and absolute gratefulness, knowing this is the Son of God that stood in your place to make salvation possible. My challenge to you is to spend the day in absolute gratefulness that God has restored his relationship with you. God bless you, friends.